welcome to another episode of Really Broken Always. First of all, I need to apologise for last week's video. I did it in 4K and it turns out my rendering machine is not really up to 4K, so some of the footage ended up being repeated because I didn't even notice it, so my apologies. Also, again, thank you for all the new subscribers, all the thumbs up and comments and everything. Obviously that means a lot to us, and it obviously helps the algorithm so more people see the video. This week though, we're not working on a Land Rover for once. We're going to be working on my MG. Those of you who are new to the channel or ones who are long-time subscribers, you might have forgotten all about this car. Anyway, it's my 1974 MGB GT. I've had it for about 25 years, I think, something like that. Spent my student loan on this vehicle, used all the student loan to restore it, then used it as a daily. Misspent youth, you decide. Either way, I've still got it now, and the student loan is long gone. And I will always own this car. It's literally, even if it's not used, it will just sit there in the wings waiting to be used. It was my daily for a few years. It's gone through many incarnations, to be honest. Mind the pun. It originally would have had a 1.8 B series engine in it. About 63 horsepower twin carb. They all came with those engines. They generally all came with a 1.8. The UK models came with the twin carb. I think the US model came with single carb for the the emissions. This being a 74, it's the last of the chrome bumper. Quite a lot of people say, "Oh, you've done a chrome bumper conversion on it." No, it's 1974. They did come with a chrome bumper. I think you can get a 74 on a rubber. But I know most people tend to think because it's a 1974 it should be in a rubber. No, the 74s did come with chrome bumpers. What's about the car? Obviously you can see it's a little bit different. It's got wide arch kit from a Mark 1 Ford Escort. It could do with better offset tyres at the front to fill them arches. The back are fine. Apart from that, it's an MGB GT really. It's probably a mess inside. Yeah, it is a mess. We've done a few car shows in it. Had a full leather interior done for like my 21st birthday. Still absolutely amazing. You'll notice things are different about the interior there on the centre console, etc. There's no rear seat. There is actually a roll bar. Again, sorry if I'm sort of treading over other videos I've done of this, but it would have been a few years ago since I did a kind of a review, and it was a few years ago since I did any work on it, to be honest, because it's not needed anything. But the main thing about this vehicle that makes it a little bit different, or did make it different a few years ago, it's not so different anymore because everybody's doing it. Here's what's under the hood, or the bonnet. It's a bit tired looking now. So, what you have there, even though the rocker cover says different, is a 1.8 BP. I think it's a BP MX5 engine. So from the pop-up headlight version, non-VVT, obviously being the early version, and strapped to the side is a Saab Viggen TDO 415T turbo. So obviously she does get up and go a little bit better than a standard 63 brake horsepower car does. It's on a standalone ECU, ME442 in this, or was it 221? My MX5's got an ME442 or a 221. I can't remember, one of them has. To be honest, they're pretty much exact same Gen 2. This used to have a Gen 1 version of the ECU in it, but then it broke, I think. Yes, it did, because the box is up there. So, MX5 gearbox. Rear diff is standard, but it's got an LSD from Blackline, which I did a video on a few years ago, when the workshop was first done. Apart from that, she's pretty much MGB GT. As I said before, it wasn't a common conversion 10, 12 years ago. To the point I used to get loads of questions about it and everything. Now they're two to a penny. It's very, very common to have an MX5 engine there because it fits in straight away, really, with no cutting. So it's what you see there is pretty much all MX5 apart from the turbo. Wiring harness is mostly MGB. I've got the MX5 fuse box, relay box in there, and then literally all it is a power jump cable from the power feed for the engine on the MX5 side to the power feed for the MG side, which will then feed the lights. So pretty much, if you want to revert back, you could revert back, because I've kept all the original MG wiring. Would I ever revert back? unless there was some change in rules and stuff. Would it ever revert back? No, don't think so. There has to be a valid reason, and I can't think of one, to be honest. So yeah, apart from that, that's the vehicle. Like I say, most people have seen this before. It's been around the block in terms of shows and everything else. It was it still is my go-to classic. This year it's not really been used that much, and I'll get into that in a moment. I think it's only been to one classic car show. No, two. We took it to Race the Waves in Bridlington at the beginning of the year. I think it was April, May time. Drove it there, obviously, and she drove faultlessly, kinda. So there we go. So why are we doing a little bit of work on the MGB GT today? Well, for the past few months, I'll say for a few months, since the MOT, I've noticed she's started to smoke a bit. Now, at the moment, all that happens is once she's warm, she'll smoke on decel. So if you let off the accelerator and keep it in gear, she seems to have a bit of an oil smell, and then she'll smoke a little bit. Then once you plant your foot again, or even, actual fact, yeah, it is plant your foot, or a spirited acceleration, should I say, it will chuff smoke out, and it's very oily. Now, it could be one of two things, really. We could be one of three things, actually. It could be the CHRA in the turbo, so the turbo cartridge seals are knackered. It could be the valve stem seals gone. Or it could be the oil control rings, which I'm not really wanting to be dealing with that. Now, let's go for worst case scenario. So oil control rings, I've got a spare block for it, so that's not too much of an issue. We can drop the other block in, put that head on it. Valve stem oil seals, that's what I'm leaning towards. And obviously, as I said before, the CHRA, the turbo cartridge. Now, I know it's not the CHRA turbo cartridge because I've already changed it. We know it's not a turbo. So the other thing we can do is see if it's the oil control rings or the rings themselves. So what we can do is a compression test, which is probably going to be what today's video is going to be about. We'll do a compression test on her, see if that's the issue. If they all look all fine, obviously if there's oil down, it's going to be a wet test. It's going to be a bit high. To be honest, she's been sitting for 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. I mean, I moved it. Oh no, she hasn't been properly driven for 2 or 3 weeks. She's been sitting for that amount of time. I did move her out of the garage last weekend, so it has had a bit of movement. But I think probably doing a compression test is going to be the next thing. Now, I have got a boroscope, so I can have a look down in there and just see whether there's anything going off. Obviously, taking the plugs out, we're going to know, because if they're all oiled up, it still could be the control rings. Let's go do a compression test first. We'll take the plugs out, obviously, and then we'll do a compression test. We'll see what they're like, and we'll go from there. The plugs are out. I mean, they're a bit sooty, but to be honest, if you look at the tip, it's not too bad. It's probably because I moved it the other day and didn't let it warm up. So one thing I've noticed though, there's quite a lot of oil on the threads. So that's more than likely the rocker cover gasket is on its way out. That one's alright. It's mainly number 3. Yeah, so I guess the rocker cover gasket's on its way out. Right, what we'll do now is get the compression tester out. Power is on, foot to the floor. We're looking between, I think it's 135 and 190 compression. So foot to the floor. Should be enough. Let's have a look. Cylinder 1. Oh, 175. I'd say 175. So what we'll do, we'll note that down. Okay. clear out of that one. We'll go over to the next one. 175 is not bad on that one. 9 on a cracker the same. And what are we at this time? Oh, 165. So that one is a bit lower. 175. What should we say again? It was about, I'd say it was 160 for number 3 now after counting it. And they're around about 170, 175. And that other one was 175. So, I mean, it's not conclusive that the issue isn't the oil control rings, but I expect the plugs to be a heck of a lot more oily than they are. So, I think we're going to go down the realm of this being valve stem oil seals. Alright, I don't think it's going to show very well. You can just see it's kind of orange, and then there's like a smudge at the top right, just there. It looks like oil's dripping down to me. That just looks like there's oil in it, which would be indicative of the valve seals. Anyway guys, as you saw from the little bit of endoscope footage, cylinder 4, which is the one which I was looking at because the plug's got a little bit of oil on the threads, seems to be the culprit. Now, I don't think it's oil control rings because it would burn a lot more oil and there'd be a lot more oil in there. It's hardly got any, so I think it's more likely going to be the valve stem oil seals. So I'm going to order a set anyway, regardless. Either way, I need to get that head off, which is obviously another video in itself. So I think what we'll do is we'll end this one here, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sorry it was a shorter one, but I need to order the bits in and everything and make the decision. It will be a multi-parter, and also we might be a bit of chopping and changing because obviously the MGB needs work. There's a lot of work to be done on the standard, and obviously the Land Rover is going to be an ongoing thing anyway because it's my daily, so there's lots of plans that I want to do with that anyway. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, share and all that kind of stuff. It all does help us, and I shall see you in the next one.